Hadi Irvani. First, some supporters to thank, and thank you for listening. This episode is supported by CCW Digital. Leaders responsible for operations, information technology, contact centers, customer care, service, and support are invited to register for a free CCW Digital membership. Membership includes networking with 100,000 plus qualified industry professionals, quarterly executive research reports, product matchmaking, and more. Go to ccwdigital.com to join the community. This episode is also supported by the CCW Conference and Expo. The event will empower you to test, learn, and try the next big thing in customer experience optimization. Are you interested in mining data across touch points for personalized and predictive data? Are you trying to integrate your systems to get a more complete view of the customer? Are you figuring out what innovations to invest in? Chatbots, virtual assistants, AI, VR, biometrics, to name a few? Go to callcenterweek.com to register. Hadi Irvani joins us and explains whereas his family are cobblers, he deals in peach cobblers. An enigmatic guy, Hadi always enjoyed throwing dinner parties where the guests would be part of the cooking process. Each dinner party featured a number of courses. Hadi soon realized that he wanted to share what he experienced through his dinner parties with a larger audience. He set out to create something different, first focusing on healthy food and then focusing on innovating within the space, being the first company to ship an egg, for instance. He sees food as a way to get people together. He says that the company loves its customers, and the mission of the company is to share that love. Welcome to CCW Digital on B2B IQ. I'm your host, Seth Adler. Download episodes on ccwdigital.com or through our app in iTunes, within the iTunes podcast app in Google Play, or wherever you currently get your podcasts. Hadi Irvani. You good?
I'm good.
How do you pronounce the name?
Hadi.
Hadi.
Yes.
Hadi Irvani.
Yes.
This is a good name. The alliteration. This works.
Great.
Hadi, so now what you said, your natural peach dish. That's what it is. It's right? It's all natural. It's all the whole thing.
So we focus on whole, great quality ingredients and work with local farmers and come up with some of the best chefs in the country, really in the Southeast, to provide a great quality experience to consumers in shipping them a meal kit.
All right. So just go ahead and put this as close as possible. There you go. That's not,
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right. So this sounds like a great idea, right? It seems like I now have options as a consumer for you to help me with my meal making process. There seems to be a couple of solutions out there. Is that fair?
Yeah, there are a couple of solutions out there. We've been voted by the New York Observer as the best quality in the country, and sort of also by Forbes.
Yeah.
And so our focus is really on quality and making sure that quality experience that you have, whether it's the packaging, whether you want to have dinner for 2 people or 12 people, whether you want to add on another ribeye steak to your meal, and making sure that we work with farmers and producers who are very transparent in terms of where the food comes from and that it's really, really high, good quality.
Excellent.
So my business partner used to run, her husband is a small local farmer.
Sure.
And food is what you are what you eat. So that's really sort of what we believe in.
Got it. Yes, I am definitely what I eat, and I'm working on that. So maybe, Hadi, you have a new customer after this conversation. You know, where are you from, though?
I'm from sort of Iran and England and Germany. My mother's German, but I think sort of I feel very international, and I think. I live in Atlanta, and Atlanta is actually the South, and it is a very multicultural area. You don't think of the South as having Vietnamese food.
Sure.
But you do have lots of Vietnamese farmers, fish farmers in the South who go and do shrimp. So it's interesting to sort of say, hey, what is Southern cooking? And PeachDish is this amalgamation of new Southern cooking.
Right. So it's kind of a redefinition of what we think about. Now, does that mean that you're, regional play as far as, shipping to me in Wisconsin? Or?
So we're actually a national play, and we ship nationwide. So we do something called an A-to-A, so airport to airport transfer. And being based in Atlanta, it's a really great location. So we... because of our quality and the demand, we actually sort of ship nationwide and focus on being able to sort of deliver that package and that experience to customers nationwide. And also sort of having a recycling program. And we're the first company in our industry to ship an egg in a meal kit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good differentiation. I mean, first, though.
Yeah,
right?
the first. And the way we figured it out was we used farm fresh eggs so that the nutrients are still there and it's much better quality.
Okay, so when was this moment of reckoning for the egg, when you realized that you were going to be able to do this?
So I've always sort of liked to push boundaries,
Yeah.
and we sort of thought about it, did some trial and error. And really sort of discovered that eggs in the U.S. are washed, and in Europe and other countries they're not washed, and the eggs last longer if you ever go to the developing world and they're not like refrigerated. And that's because they don't over clean the washed eggs. So you could say dirty or European eggs is the way we
That's
do
the secret.
That's the secret.
But you do wash them before they get to me, right?
We rinse off all the other some of the poo that might be in the fields.
Okay.
The farmer does do a little bit of that.
Of course. But this is you had been shipping before you added the eggs, right?
Yeah. We've been shipping sort of for the past 3.5, 4 years, since 2013.
And you do meals.
And we do meals.
Which includes chicken.
Includes chicken, really happy, healthy chicken. We do happy, healthy cows.
This was a long way for me to get to the fact that for you, the chicken did come before the egg. It's a very long way to go.
Yeah, maybe.
But your point being, you give me a healthy meal, I go ahead and I cook it.
Yes.
Right? Now, what's the differentiation, though, as far as healthy? You got the New York Observer, you got Forbes. Healthy, fresh, right? Is that what it is?
Yep.
All right. So you're all the way back. Farm to fork is really what you are.
Correct.
How did you develop those relationships with the farmers?
So I started this business. I'm an internet geek, and I sort of just started shipping food in the back of my garage. And we went to the State Farmers Market, and I met these characters who are shady characters. I didn't realize this at the time. But the produce industry is full of these middlemen who bring in drugs and all sorts of characters. We'll just
leave that there, yeah.
And then I met this lady, and she thought I was absolutely crazy, and I probably am, who's running a $20 million restaurant group. And her husband is a small local farmer. And she has all these connections with the local farmers. So as a result of our connections and our sort of, in a way, bonding up and teaming, she sort of helped bring in all these connections with the farmers so that we cut out the middlemen and allow sort of produce to sort of be bought direct from the farmers, put in our box, and then shipped to consumers.
Now, you said you're a tech geek or internet geek.
Yeah.
How did you find yourself in food? Where is that from?
So I had some success selling shoes online. And,
you did?
And I got kind of bored of it, and I love to have dinner parties. So in my dinner parties, I always like to have a first course, a main course, and a dessert.
Sounds
so
reasonable.
That's sort of what I started, and I started my business thinking, hey, everyone else should eat like me with a dessert and an appetizer. But that's not the case.
Right.
And I learned that and iterated, and I got lots of feedback from customers. So started off with just a website. People signed up, and had some random customers from Lake Charles, Louisiana sign up the first day and really helped transform them. So Beth Burns, wherever you are, you lost a lot of weight and learned how to cook all new great meals that I like to cook.
So it was the healthy thing.
It was really the healthy thing that really sort of got us going. And it's the healthy thing because it's fresh. And I think that's so important to eat fresh.
So, that's all well and good. You were shipping the shoes. How did you get into shipping the shoes? In other words, how do we have Hadi doing all of this?
So I love, I guess my family's in the shoe business.
That'll help.
And I'm a third-generation cobbler.
There you go.
And I decided instead of becoming a cobbler, I should become a vegetable salesman.
Or you should sell peach cobbler.
I should sell peach cobbler. And actually, we do sell peach cobbler. So we actually have a really great chef who we commissioned who has got a great peach cobbler recipe.
Yeah.
And during peach season, you can get her peach cobbler from us,
because it's got to be in season, right? So we're kind of going all over the place, which is okay, I think. But we're going back to dessert now. Did you streamline? Am I hearing you right that you streamlined it from it's not necessarily going to be an appetizer, main, and dessert every time, or what?
Yeah.
Where was that streamline?
So it's also sort of a question of nomenclature in terms of sales. Mm-hmm. So if I say I'm giving you a dessert and you get a piece of fruit, then your expectations go and change. So I think of a piece of fruit as dessert,
right?
But a lot of people don't.
Not if you're selling it to me as dessert.
So what we sort of decided to sort of go do is and you used to not know what you're getting. It used to be a complete mystery. Now you can go pick what you want, what day you want it. So what we did that we changed was we made the dessert a surprise treat. Mm-hmm. So it's some surprise that comes to you every week.
I see.
And it's some chocolate, some fruits. And what's really exciting now is that what we're doing is we're doing artist collaborations.
Okay.
So we're getting artists to create original artwork as part of that surprise treat.
Why would I care about that if I'm just trying to get a healthy meal?
So I think a meal is more than just one plate or a dish. Mm-hmm. It's really an experience. So you want to learn what the provenance of the food is. There's maybe some education about that. Mm-hmm. And maybe you want to share that meal experience with a friend. So you can take that piece of art, which is a postcard, mm-hmm. and write a postcard to your cousin in Colorado, for example.
Okay, fair enough. I've been meaning to write to Dave in Colorado, I guess. But let's go back to Iran. How long were you in Iran?
I was never in Iran. My family was there. But
You're
I was
simply Iranian.
Yeah. I was born in London.
That's the accent.
Yeah.
I see.
So I'm sort
London town, even, right?
No, yeah, London, England.
All right, yeah. But don't you call it London town?
No.
My London friends call it London town.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just messing with me.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right, so what part of London?
North London.
Okay. So the Black Line, is that right?
The Black Line, the Northern Line.
There you go.
Actually, Hampstead, which is the deepest subway station in the English, and it was the first tube line. And when the Americans were in Hampstead during World War II, they all chewed chewing gum and they spat it out. So for years and years and years, that chewing gum remained in the subways in the Northern Line.
You're welcome, or we apologize, I guess, right? So what was it like growing up as a cobbler's kid, and a cobbler's grandkid? What did you go down to the shop as a little kid, or what was that?
Yeah, I sort of grew up looking at shoes and people's feet, and it's great. I think I sort of go to a hip club in the Lower East Side, see some beautiful girl, I'm like, oh, I know your size. It's a size 8. And what's your mailing address? Let me send you a pair of shoes. She gets a random pair of shoes, and I get known around the country, the world for this guy, the random guy who's crazy and goes and sends people shoes.
So that's what that was.
So that's what that was.
Did it turn itself into a business ever? Or?
Yeah, it's a business, and they sort of make about 2 million pairs of shoes.
Oh, really?
In Georgia.
Okay.
And sort of ship in the U.S. and nationwide.
So Georgia the state.
Georgia the state. So I thought sort of like doing it with food is even more fun because you consume maybe 5 pairs of shoes a year, 4 pairs of shoes a year.
Sure.
But with food, you consume so many more meals, and it's so much more exciting in terms of just the customer feedback that one gets.
When did you make that jump? Was there an epiphany of, let me not do shoes, let me do... You're explaining how and why, but...
Yeah, well, I met these 2 lawyers who were really bored of their jobs just moving paperwork around. And
with all due respect to lawyers.
And it's just sort of on an hourly basis.
Right.
And so... even though they're married, they relish those times as students in college, where you would go and see these girls in beautiful Lily Pulitzer dresses.
Right.
So they started selling preppy clothing. It's called Country Club Prep, out of the garage of their house. It was a $100,000 business, and then it sort of helped grow to a $5 million business, and now it's a $15 million business.
Okay.
And they're sort of really passionate about preppy clothing.
Okay.
And Lily Pulitzer clothes or long sharks. So sort of spending time with them and helping them out, I realized I need to do what I'm really passionate about, which is food and all the excitement that goes around discovering new food, cooking new food, and sharing meal experiences.
There you go. And meal experiences, where it was born, you mentioned the dinner parties that you have and had.
Yeah.
Give us the life of a good dinner party. So I'm sure it starts with the guest list, and how does that all work itself out?
At least in my respect, I like to sort of mix things up.
Okay.
Because I think sort of through controversy or through excitement, one makes it more fun.
Yes.
So I think it's great to invite Republicans and Democrats at the same table opposite each other.
Right.
Great to invite gay and straight people next to each other.
Sure.
And then also sort of rich and poor, and black and white, and all sorts of nationalities. And I think it's always important to have good quality food. So I like to provide the food a lot of the times, because I've sort of dumped girls who've sort of brought really bad food to my dinner parties.
Okay.
And I think having good food, but then having easy instructions and getting all the guests to help cook just makes it so much more of a fun experience.
So the cooking is part of the dinner party.
Cooking is always part of the dinner party. I think that's so much more fun, because
Right.
I think there's something therapeutic and fun. People connect and they bond, and I think it's something fun and sexy, kind of like doing laundry in a laundromat and that interaction. I think that's the excitement.
When you're doing something.
You're doing something. You're making something. You're creating it.
So that's what's happening.
Yeah.
I am standing next to this other person that definitely isn't like me.
Yeah.
What have you noticed about the conversation and about the emotional upheaval that you're hoping for?
So I guess I'm really lucky. I've got 8 weddings under my belt in terms of people who have met at my different dinner parties.
Look at you.
And
Take that, Match.com.
sometimes it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Right.
But it's all about just going and trying for it and not being scared and just really saying, okay, hey, I can go and do this. And I think with PeachDish, we kind of help give people that extra confidence to sort of go and have a party or just go and cook for someone else. And I think that's really sort of what excites me and gives me my joy in my life.
Yeah.
As to why I jump out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm really excited to go.
You're the guy that does jump out of bed. I can tell. I can tell from how you just said that. Do you think that kind of disruptor, because you're truly a disruptor as far as human beings are concerned, and you're in your day-to-day life, let alone your business, is that from your parents? Is that your own thing?
I think some of it definitely is genetic. So my grandfather in Iran, really funny story, loved to sort of do these types of things. So
this is an idea that he had.
So he actually did something else, which is even more brilliant.
Okay.
He placed an advertisement for a wife for his gardener, who was German, in a magazine, unbeknownst to him.
Unbeknownst to the gardener.
Unbeknownst to the gardener, to go and get a wife and go and find this guy a wife. And this guy got all these letters saying, "Oh, I'd love to be your wife," and things like this. And he did this in 1978. So I think those types of fun things are so exciting, and I think it's just a question of encouragement. So
absolutely,
I get it. I think from my grandparents.
So. That's fair. So as we go here with PeachDish, you're national. Are there aspirations to be international? You've got international roots, right?
So I think we sort of like to do some licensing deals.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with Japan, we're sort of looking at saying, okay, hey, can we license some of these really great Southern recipes? I mean, we've got some great recipes, and can we take those and go and say, hey, people in Japan, they love the South, they want to go and try something else extra, let's come up with a meal kit offering that then goes and works for them. And then there's also sort of a question of in terms of going and licensing the technology. So those are sort of things that we're in conversations with different partners and are really sort of just talking through those right partners.
As far as your consumer,
Yes.
you took us through. There was the woman from Louisiana whose name I think is Beth.
Yes.
Who lost a bunch of weight and really appreciated what you had created for her, which is what I'm sure it felt like. Tell us a little bit more about some of the consumer stories that you hear. What are you getting back from folks that are experiencing PeachDish?
I mean, it's so rich to sort of bring families together.
Mm-hmm.
Or, for example, the husband cooks for the wife who's a chef and she never has anyone else go cook for her. Or the astronauts from NASA who goes and measures and weighs each of the chicken breasts and sends us a customer thing saying, why are the chicken breasts weighing different amounts? Well, no two breasts actually weigh the same. I think that's sort of a human case as well, that chicken breasts don't actually weigh the same. Or human breasts are also different sizes as well. So
it's a different podcast, Hadi.
So there are all sorts of different crazy or sort of bizarre ways that sort of people go and interact with food.
Right.
And I think the sort of warmest one is that feeling of being loved and loving. We love our customers because we are really sort of dedicated to them. And then sort of sharing that love. So there's a sort of father, a mother and a son, and they're in different cities, but they get to cook the same meals
on the same
on the same nights, and sort of connects people through that.
Food is love.
Food is love, and I hope to maybe get in the love business at some stage. So maybe you cook a peach dish and you need someone else to go do it, or creating some type of a grouper thing. So I'm always working on the next thing.
So watch out Match.com. Watch out Tinder, right?
Yeah, but I think maybe maybe a little bit more high end, and I think sort of Tinder maybe not be the best way to go and connect. Or once people go connect, I don't know what percentage of those people end up going and closing and doing something.
Right.
So why don't we have food as a way of going and getting people together? Oh, come over and cook a meal. So
I love it.
So I think that's really important.
I love it. I can see where you're going with this whole thing. I've got 3 final questions for you. But before that, you seem to be the perfect person to ask. In the history of time, please build for us the ideal dinner party. Please invite, whether it's 3, 5, 7, whatever. What ideal dinner party would you? Because there's that question, who would you want to have dinner with out of anybody ever?
So I think there's sort of 2 approaches to dinner parties. One is that 5 to 7 to 12 person dinner party, which is sort of very set in stone and it's sort of an intellectual, fun conversation.
Sure.
And that's fun and great, and I really enjoy it. But I actually sort of prefer more the 30-person dinner party or the 60-person dinner party with really just great hors d'oeuvres, lots of drinking, and then sort of 2 hours before dinner starting, just conversation and interaction.
Interesting.
A sort of 2-hour, 3-hour dinner, and then dancing and parties afterwards with sort of fun entertainments, people having food fights.
Sure.
Or I think one of the most recent fun little games that I've sort of been doing at dinner parties is just taking an orange and saying, guys, let's do the orange game. So you take the orange, you put it on your neck, and then you have to pass it on to the next person.
Sure.
And then you're not supposed to drop it. So
interesting.
I think the excitement and the unknown is the fun thing in the dinner party.
That's what it is.
That's what
it
it is.
So it's not inviting the Trojans and the Spartans.
No.
Or the Israelis and the Palestinians. It's not about that.
Yeah, it's about that, but it's about them then going and connecting over something together.
Over the orange game.
Over the orange game.
Or cooking the meal.
And that is what the exciting, great thing is.
There you go. Hadi, you're an interesting guy. I've got 3 final questions for you. I'll tell you what they are, and then I'll ask you them in order. What has most surprised you in work? What has most surprised you in life? And on the soundtrack of your life, one track, one song that's got to be on there. But first things first, what has most surprised you in work?
So the thing that sort of most surprised me in work is I used to maybe sort of think about things in terms of, okay, we need to go make money, or we need to sort of be that profit-driven thing. But what I've realized is that a company's function is really more than just going and making shareholder value. Mm-hmm. It's also about looking after the employees and the partners. And if you've got a company that goes and does that, it has a much better chance of surviving for the long term, because it gets all the stakeholders in the company to go and look at things with the right lenses. Because sometimes they become too distracted in one thing, and then they don't go and see other opportunities.
Do you have investors?
So we've got sort of family investors, but we haven't really taken on big investors.
Okay.
And part of our focus has been on our employees. Our employees are our investors, and our customers are our investors. So making sure that we give back to them. And we're making PeachDish a B corporation, which is really, really exciting to me.
So that's a one-for-one. What's the other one, I guess? Well, the B Corp model. Where is the philanthropy?
So the B Corp philanthropy is in terms of just going and looking after all of the different stakeholders in your business and making sure that you're doing the best for your employees, your vendors, and the environment. And I think that's really, really important, especially in the age that we live in, to make sure that we love the earth. So,
my goodness. All right, you're like bringing us into utopia. What has most surprised you in life? This is a good question for this moment in the interview.
So in life, I would say one never knows what's going to happen. And I think that's sort of in terms of the dinner party. You never know what's going to go and happen. And one needs to go and enjoy and embrace the mystery and the excitement.
Take me through that. What do you actually mean?
I was going to get married at one stage at the age of 27. I had a big wedding all planned out and everything else like this. And we just couldn't agree about the flowers. So
it was the flowers that did it in?
I mean, there were other things. But yeah, I mean, I think the flowers in terms of what style flower arrangements. I mean, it sounds really superficial and crazy, but...
Well, wasn't an endemic of the greater issue, basically, I would imagine.
Yeah. It was basically, have a larger party or a smaller party or how intense. And I think that's really sort of... One never knows what's going to happen, and one needs to just embrace it and go forward with it.
Did you find that I just want to dive in here, if you don't mind. Did you find that you couldn't communicate with that person? In other words, we can't find a solution for the florist, so, how are we going to be able to find a solution in terms of when a big thing happens?
No, I think flowers are really important, actually. And
so you're specifically talking about the deliverable of flowers. This got under your skin, and you couldn't let it out.
Well, I think it's really just the approach that really sort of matters. And I think, like, understanding that there's compassion and that you don't always get what you want. And having that tussle is the most important thing in life. It's kind of why you sort of want to go and do business. You've got that negotiation. You've got, not everything that you get meets the quality that you need. So that's what excites me.
You're about the tussle. That's what you're all sorts of into, the tussle, right?
I am so into the tussle. I just love it. It excites me.
All right, let's try this on the soundtrack of your life. One track, one song that's got to be on there.
So, life is a highway. I want to ride it all night long. All night long.
Yeah, I think that's Tom Cochrane, as a matter of fact.
It is, yeah.
Not to be confused with, like, Bruce Springsteen or, Southside Johnny. No, this is Tom Cochrane. So that makes you've got to be at least around 40 years old. Am I right?
I'm 33, but
you were very young when that song came out.
But I'm a kid of the 80s, so we love 80s music, and so love that song.
That's it. How often do you get back to London?
Not often enough.
Yeah.
So
why did you find Atlanta again?
What
happened?
I'm in the shoe business. So some suburb of Atlanta used to be called Beaufort, used to be a large shoemaking town, and sort of trying to keep good jobs in America, making shoes and trying to solve problems. So my father came over here to solve problems, and I guess we businessmen solve problems and we create problems.
That's it.
We just got to smile and enjoy what we're doing.
And create the problems, enjoy the tussle, go ahead and solve those problems. Hadi, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
And there you have Hadi Irvani. Definitely a dynamic guy, has a ton of energy, and he really is very proud of that egg thing. So very much appreciate Hadi and his time, very much appreciate you and yours. Stay tuned.